Welcome to martialartsnow.com. I'm Pedro Bennett, the CEO of martialartsnow.com. And welcome to our first podcast. Today we have a special guest with us. He is Shihan Roseberry. Welcome, Shihan.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're going to edit this, right?
I could, yes. Okay. Um, I want to thank you for all the times that you have, the years that you've been have placed in the martial arts and what you contribute to the martial arts. But instead of me going into the many things and the people that you helped in the martial arts, for those individuals who do not know who you are, if you would please briefly share your martial art experience. In essence, how did you get where you are now?
Well, first of all, I was starting my martial arts in England with an attitude. In the military, was on the boxing team. And so where we would train, after we would finish working out, then these judo people would come in and start doing it. So my attitude at that point, at that time, I could pop somebody in the head and then throw them down and stomp them. And so that was the youngster mentality with no sense, no learning. But then after doing that for a while, then you kind of realize, man, that there's more to this thing than just punching and kicking people. So I left England and come back to this country for a short stay and then went back to the Orient. And so I actually started my martial arts training in 1955 in England and then traveled to Okinawa in 1956 and then continued to train over there and still training some 60, 50 some years later.
Wow. I'm only 53, so you started your training prior to my birth. I brag about my say 30 years of training
Yeah.
in martial arts, and that's almost half of the years that you have studied. Um, Tell me something. What have kept you interested in the martial arts?
Well, number one, health-wise, that I don't drink, don't smoke. Years and years ago, used to smoke a little dope. Never really messed with cigarettes. Never messed with alcohol. I've been drunk twice in my life, and one time I got drunk on two bottles of Slits my uncle gave me. And then the second time was kind of a going away party coming from Okinawa back to this country, and so you kind of have a tradition to where you talk to each teacher, and then they pour sake or whatever they were drinking. You taste it, and they take it, pour and stuff. So I went around the table, and to this day, I could have no idea how I got back to my judo teacher's dojo. So after that, I said, well, that was a part of my life, man. Anything could have happened if I wouldn't have a clue. So just kind of backed off the cigarettes and the dope. I lost my mom, and so that was the last time I smoked a joint. And so I just stay as much as for the health wise. I stay healthy, as long as I can.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, I understand that. Um, you know, so that people will get a better understanding of you. You have some experience in judo as well as karate do, etc. Would you share with us a little bit more about your judo training as well as your karate do training?
Well, my actually was taking when I was in Okinawa. I was taking judo and karate as well as kendo as well as aikido all at the same time. And I kind of mentioned to you a little bit earlier. If I had all this stuff to do all over again, I would probably just stay in one art. But it was a teaching experience. By being a teacher, that I can talk to the various arts and I know what I'm talking about and not playing the game with people's heads. So my judo thing was that to this day still staying. I've been the only American to actually win all Okinawan championship, and I've heard somebody say, "Well, they have won it." Well, that wasn't the case because I would think, my personal opinion, that could have been an embarrassment that American had won, and so they no longer would let the American participate in that tournament. In the championship tournament, now you compete in some of the local tournaments like that, but for as the championship for the island, something like that, they wouldn't let Americans do it anymore after that. My karate do training, I trained under Mr. Taguchi, and I've been with him And actually, I was the very first person under Mr. Gucci to actually bring Shoryuken Dojo in this world to another country. Uh, and that was in Great Lakes, Illinois, where I had a Shoryuken school there until I was en route actually back to Okinawa. So the school didn't last very long, but we did have a Shoryuken school actually in this country. So my thing now is carry on his tradition.
Right. You know, I recall last year when I visited you, you had mentioned some things about Krav Maga. Uh, would you please share with us the role that you played in Krav Maga back in the, if I'm not mistaken, in the 60s?
Well, what happened, I was stationed in San Diego, MCRD, and so we had a group of Israeli military come over to look at our system, hand-to-hand combat system, and of course they stayed for a period of time, so they went back, so they started teaching our system, but to give this name Krav Maga. So that's basically where it's happening now, but a lot of that started right in, and I'm sure there was a fighting art actually in Israel, but a lot of things that was from the United States Marine Corps hand-to-hand combat training.
Wow. I'm sure that's a piece of history that many people weren't aware of. Um, are you still active in training or giving seminars?
You know, yes, I am active. Uh, we this past June we had our international convention, and we had schools all over. We had people come in from all over. Taught a seminar as far as running the dojo. I would never do that again. However, we do have a little family thing that with my wife and my son and his wife, my grandchildren, and then my son's wife's mom. So it's kind of a family-oriented thing that we get up, get together, and work out a little bit, either in my home or their home. We have a little school over, early learning school that we can go over and use those facilities. So we'll go over and train. So, but for as doing a commercial dojo, man, I've had a lot of calls. It's just been out here, you're doing it. I said, man, I have put up with enough crap over all these years that I really don't want anything to do with running a dojo again. I mean, it was an experience that you can never forget, and you help a lot of people, and that's the good side. But man, my thing is stay away from the politics and all the BS if you want to be a martial artist. You get involved with politics and BS that just distort from your training and just it just messed up. As on back and put it, just plain messed up. Just stay away from it. Stay on the floor and train. And it doesn't matter what style you're in. Just train. And so I often use the term that if you stay and train and be straight up, you don't have to BS. But if you're lying about a whole lot of stuff, a liar has to have a good memory. So just be who you are. And that's it. Bottom line, be who you are. Don't worry about what somebody else is doing. Just do your thing. That's what you believe in. That's what your heart leads you. Go that path.
And I thank you for that because I remember last year when we discussed some things about the martial arts and operating a business, you sort of helped me out, gave me some guidance when you mentioned that what we need to do is get together and create a business and etc. And this is one of the reasons why I'm creating martialartsnow.com, and I really want to thank you for doing that, to helping give me some guidance in that. But you know, what do you think is your greatest contribution to the martial arts? Your contribution to martial arts?
Well, man, you meet uh, the people that you meet, whether it be 3-year-old or, well, my attitude was 93 years old when he passed away. But you're part of that life, and you see some people that you can see them going astray. And of course, in my situation, I see a lot of young men where I was when I was young, and they said, "Hey, man, that's not the way to go." And I remember had a fellow tell me, he said, "Boy, you're going to be in jail by the time you're 12 years old." And I had this girlfriend, and I stole the girlfriend's mom's wedding band. The cop come to my house, man, But anyway, I get it all back and everything. But you've been down a crazy path, and if you can keep somebody from going, keep them straight, keep them on the path, then that's one of my greatest contributions to the art. And even I ran into a young man not too long ago that he says, "Man, if it was Mr. Roseberry, man, I'd be in jail today." And then actually I'm witness to another kid now. He's in Minneapolis. Was on the phone with him, and they said, "I just had to call and talk to you, man." Said, last time you talked to me, you told me to get myself clean. I was strung out on heroin and dope like that. He says, "I'm not doing that anymore. So you advised me to find a church, whether you believe it or not, whatever the case might be, just get involved in something." And so he said, "Well, I went to one church and said this Sunday I'm going to another church." So he just said, "Thanks." So you hear testimonies like that, that you touch people. So I think that's what keeps me involved, in that. But man, let me tell you, it's not an easy path. But there's numerous of times that I said, "Man, piss on it. This shit's not worth it. I'm out of here," But it just seems like there's something to pull you back. So
Yeah.
maybe that was my calling. I don't know.
I don't know. I tell you, I appreciate you keeping it real, and you don't really talk much about your achievement as it relates to the martial arts and tournaments and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm saying that to ask you this question. It says, do you think that the UFC has benefited uh, martial arts, and if so, how has it? And if not, please explain why
Well,
maybe UFC may not have benefited martial arts.
the only thing that I have is really, well, let me take the positive side of UFC. Number one, keeping a lot of kids off the street, raising hell out there fighting. I think that part is good. The mixed martial arts thing, the only thing I see actually in the mixed martial arts, periodically I'll see somebody make a good throw. I see somebody trying to box that have no idea. I see some people that's wrestling in there, pretty good wrestlers. And you try to put all this stuff together, say mixed martial arts. I'm not seeing the mixed martial arts side of that. But, it's entertaining. It's drawing a lot of crowds, making a lot of people a lot of money. So, whatever fit your thing is, go for it. But I'm not so overly impressed with the UFC. But I watch it. And just being an ex-boxer is watch some of these kids try to box. And then being a judo player, I see periodically I see people make a good throw, like Ronda Rousey, for an example. She's an Olympian. A lot of her achievements, the things that she's doing, right? She's making good throws, arm lock. That's all out of judo. But you don't see a lot of stuff that a lot of people are doing. Um, and a lot of things are so simple if they had just some judo knowledge.
I understand. I'm fortunate that sometimes judo get a bad rap with the fact that people don't quite understand what judo is. That's unfortunate. But in speaking of judo, also, is there a relationship between budo and keeping one's weight underside?
Well, there's definitely a relationship there, but the key to that is when we just talk about the key development, for an example, the four principles of that. People just look at the physical side of it, but then that's also a way of life. And when you talk about the 1 point and the weight underside, keeping everything settled down. I talk about a game in a sense of speaking, but it's a factual game that if you think that you have your 1 point, then try to go. The goal is 24 hours, but sometimes when you lose control, in other words, you say you have your 1 point and somebody piss you off, and you let them control you, then you've lost your 1 point. So I would tell the students, okay, they have to go back again, start from one. So, and once you make 1 hour, then try to go to the next hour, and then you go to 24 hours without letting somebody piss you off or control. Because if somebody pisses you off, they are controlling your life, and you allow that to happen. And it's just like if you put yourself down, that's an invitation for other people to put you down. It's okay to say, "Hey, I know I'm right." It'd be BS if you want to be nice about it. You can be nice on the inside of the corner. You don't tell you talking about. I know the way that I feel. So this is me. That's your thing. That may be the way that you uh, resolve a situation. But people are different. Everybody's different. Nobody's the same. But the key to it, if you can maintain your one point, keep control of your life, stay in a relaxed manner, you're gonna have. To me, you're gonna have a hell of a lot healthier life, than worrying about a whole bunch of crap that's not necessary. And I talk things that you can do something about, then do it. Things you can't do something about, forget about it. Don't worry about it. Lose too much sleep.
Yeah.
Not
you
worth
know,
it.
I speak to my university students all often, and I speak to them about sanctioning their 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 beliefs. If you sanction your belief or you attach yourself to a belief, this is who you become. This is your subconscious. Once it's accepted, is who you become. So, as you're stating, finding one's center point, I agree, is that one should find balance within one's life,
Mm-hmm.
but he or she need to do those things in which going to keep them happy and content, etc. But try to avoid those things that they, like you said, that will
The negative
unstabilize them.
side of it, yeah.
The
Stay away
negative,
from the negative
the
side.
negative sides. Yeah, yeah. You know,
We see it every day.
most
Too much BS.
yeah, true. You know, I've been hearing a lot of conversation about, often when I talk to masters and grandmasters and Sokis and people in general, they tell me that they're not a martial artist. They say they're martial scientists, etc. Is there a difference between a martial artist and a martial science person, or is it just a matter of terminology or interpretation?
Well, the key to it, I don't know what a martial scientist is. I know what a martial artist is. And so we take the martial arts and look at the Budo side of it. It's the way of the art. The martial science, to me, I would look at it as a modern day word. I don't understand what the martial science is. I haven't heard that term per se, really. Uh, I've heard the term martial studies, but now if that's the science side of it, then uh, nothing wrong with that. But I think the key to it is just staying with the way. If you think about the do of the side, if we talk the karate do, judo, kendo, the do side of that is the way of the art. If that's your path, then stay with that.
Right.
But so many people's in and out, you know, and dabble in there, dabble that, and it's hard to read two books at the same time. Nothing wrong with read a page out of another book to support the book that you're reading.
Yeah.
So,
I sort of agree. Sometimes I think people are confused because they may not know themselves what martial arts is.
mm-hmm,
Martial arts being maybe composed of the scholar and the
mm-hmm,
warrior, and some people
mm-hmm,
oftentimes look at martial arts, particularly what they're starting to see on television, as being a brutal fighting sort of type art and not a scholarly sort of art. So I think some people try to detach themselves by using
mm-hmm.
the terminology martial science.
Yeah. Now, see, here's another thing I'll talk about when we talk about the martial science of it. I know a fellow out of Texas that wrote his dissertation uh, of martial arts. And one of my close friends, deceased now, Don Drager, a heck of a writer, but the fellow wrote a dissertation and it's almost word for word out of the writing of Don Drager. Now, is he a scientist in the arts? Or is he a BSer in the arts? Or he's taking someone else's work and said it's his work? So that again leads to confusion. Now, could that be a scientist doing that? But I don't think so, But like I say, people got their own way where they want to go with it. It's,
Yeah.
give credit where credit is due. Don't take credit for something that you didn't do. And you'll see quite a bit of that happening.
Right. You know, A lot of time we try to figure out how could martial arts help in educating and learning. And if we were to look at cognitive learning, which relates to learning that is concerned with acquisition of problem-solving abilities with intelligence and conscious thought. With that being said, how do you think martial arts could assist us in educating our youth? And keeping on understanding that cognitive learning deal with problem solving, the ability to problem solve, and the conscious mind.
Well, I think going back to the martial arts side of that, at one point in my career, I was a counselor at a psychological group. I worked with a lot of young kids and things like that. And so I set up a little program. None of the karate striking type technique, but just kind of a judo program for those kids. And um I think if you can plant a seed there, there's more to it than just the fighting, the argumenting, and stuff like that. Uh, I think there is a place in teaching and helping people. For an example, there's so many schools, colleges, universities today as I speak that have an actual martial arts program in their school. We look at San Jose State, Cumberland University out of Kentucky, have a good judo program, and there's others around the country that some of these kids have represented this country in the Olympics and stuff like that. So there is some benefits here in the school system. On the other side of the coin, we point to, let's say, some of the early martial artists I can recall as a young kid. I was looking at this comic book, and one of the things that they had a little article on it, cost you $1, right? You had to help your kid. You're going to get $1, but fear no man. Okay, now what kind of stuff you put in somebody's head when you're a young kid? Fear no man. Then it has this here little cartoon type thing where this lady and this guy and this lady walking down the beach. And so the big guy takes sand and throw up in a guy's face. So the advertising side, fear no man. So you send me $1 and I'll send you this book to where you're not going to let somebody throw sand on in your face anymore. So I think part of that there just seeing it, that's kind of a negative side of that. But I think if, again, going back to the doorway, if you're teaching in there, hey, yes, you learn to punching and kicking, but let's also, I looked at it, I taught in the university in the martial arts program, but my thing was more of a self-defense type thing because there's a lot of issues on the campuses of the colleges and universities, and maybe if somebody had some type of knowledge of the martial art, they may not be a victim to this day. So I think there is a need to have programs like that. But then I think on the other side of the coin, you're having tournaments and all this other stuff, and then you see somebody get an attitude and they want to go outside and kick somebody's butt and stuff like that. What kind of message is they sending? And we're supposed to be preparing for the leaders of our society.
Right. What my take is, based on what I'm hearing, is that it reminds me of the IQ versus the EQ, the intelligence versus the emotions. And I'm thinking the martial arts helps to balance the emotions.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yes. And with emotion intelligence, if you're able to stabilize your emotion intelligence, you're able to rationalize, you're able to think consciously. If you are too emotional, some of that consciousness is suppressed because of confusion. So I think, like you said, martial arts brings about a balance and allows one to think more clearly. And if we could see what's going on now, like look at television and some of the other places whereby you see a lot of violence going on, in many cases what's happening is, people lose it because of whatever it may be. They lose control of their emotions. Yeah.
Well, that's where a lot of issues act in our society. People can't control. That's what we have to do is I talk in Lincoln, South 14th Street, for example, penitentiary. And that's just in Lincoln. People lost their control, man. That's where they'll be knocking. There's the McDonald's and Burger King right across the street, and they can't go across the street and spend $1, man. Just by going back to the balance again, losing at one point. at
Yes.
one moment, and it doesn't mean everybody's in a pen is bad. I'm not saying that by no means, but there could be just that instant that where you kind of lose your control, and you're gonna pay the price, you know.
Right. And, I think you pretty much have answered this question, but I'm going to present it again in a different direction, a different way here. It's as a martial artist, what can we do to help reduce crime? I know
Well,
that's a vague question there,
it
and
it,
it's
it
sort of
is.
loaded also
It,
too.
it is. What can a martial artist do? You know, to be frankly, a martial arts teacher
Hmm.
really can't do anything to prevent crime. However, if they can plant a seed in the young mind, when I say young mind, I'm not talking about a 10, 11, 12-year old, but I'm talking about somebody just getting involved in the martial arts. Uh, we'll give an example of this here. Somebody Saturday night get the hell beat out of them. So they want to come to a martial arts school and get a quick fix. Now, there's no quick fix. Okay, so we can talk about it and say, hey man, you know, you got your butt whooped. Ain't nothing I can do to help you. However, if you want to get involved, to punch and kick, you can vent your energy on yourself. You're out there raising, you're out on the floor, sweating your fanny off. You're venting your energy there and not toward another individual or a human being. So I think as a teacher, if we could get that in people's heads, then I think we will see some less crime out there on the street. But the quick fixes, right? That's going to happen until next time they get drunk and get in a fight, and then they get the hell beat out, and they won't come back and get another quick fix. Then, or somebody wants a quick fix, and they'll come and stay for 30 minutes, and they know it all until they get beat up again. So the martial arts side of that, I think, basically teachers possibly could help in that direction, but it's a time consuming. It's a factor there.
Yeah, yeah. Some of the bully programs I'm seeing today is that's pretty much what they teach is, of course, is vocabulary, what bullying is, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes some of the research is showing that some of the bully programs, what it's doing is that it's helping bullies become bullies or non-bullies become non-bullies.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, one of the things is that if we look at statistically, okay, that somebody that has been bullied is going to bully, and it's going to go on and on and on and on, and just like we look at the sexual side of it, it's not a sign there's been some sex behavior that's not right, or so eventually things that had happened to you that you could have the next person, so it could go on and on and on and on. And I think along the same line. And statistically, like I said, that if somebody has been sexually molested, there's that tendency that they may molest someone. You know, so it could be the same thing in the bullying side of the martial arts if we look at that. And I go back to this here psychological group that I was doing some counseling with. That I had one young man, there's no doubt in my mind, either he done killed his dad or was gonna, but him and his sister was molested by his father. Of course, we got him in jail, went to the pen, and the only thing, this one kid was a 6 years old, little girl was, the boy was 11, and the only thing he was telling me, seriously, not one time, but numerous time, man, when my dad get out of the pen, I'm going to kill him. I lost contact with the kid, and I said, hey man, it's not the way to go, but, you know, uh, where that come about, I hope it didn't, but it was that seed was in his head to kill his father when he gets out of the pen. You know? So here was the kid that really, really needed a lot of help. And actually I had him kind of little in my little judo group. You know, you come and talk, and I said, how you feeling today? You know, and he said, well, I feel pretty good, you know. Living with his mom, and his mom, which is sad to say, and this is messed up too. You've been an ex-police officer, you've probably seen this here, but a lot of times there's a molestation or something like that. Well, you know, if you tell somebody, you know that you're going to go to jail, and I'm going to go to jail too, so we don't want that to happen. And then I've seen situations where If they're, and it's just not the male, it's the male and the female doing the molesting there. That the mother or the father, man, they keep their mouth shut. They know that's happening, but they don't say anything. You know, that's you know, but little kids suffer. That's what it all boils down to. Those kids are suffering for that. Again, go back to the martial arts side. If you get some of these kids involved in the art, under a good martial art teachers, because periodically, not periodically, it happens quite often. I could give a situation that karate teacher, for an example, is actually messing with little kids, you know. And so there was I can't say names, but there's a man that's in another country right now that the New York Police Department was getting ready to put him in the pen. So one of his students hustled him out of the country, you know. And so, but we have to be careful. If you're looking for a martial arts teacher, man, it's good to sit down and talk, not just say, hey, you know, sign my 2-year contract and stuff like that. You know, hey, let me know where you're coming from. But I think what you're trying to do, putting the word out there, is make people aware of something that's going down, you know, because basically a lot of martial arts have a bad rap. And I won't say a lot. I could almost say all martial arts, in a sense of speaking, has a bad rap because of what 3 or 4 people or rotten eggs or rotten apples what they have done, but we're all grouped together that we're bad. That's it's good to look around.
Yeah, and I thank you because that leads into what martialartsnow.com is, and that's pretty much what we try to do. We try to find instructors, whether they're masters, grandmasters, seafoods. We're just talking about titles, but we're trying to find experts, people who are good, and not only physically but mentally and ethically in the martial arts or martial science or tactical trainers. And one thing that we do is we try to look at if this person has training and who did this person train with. So this person must present to us a bio, and we ask that this person be trained, and in many cases we ask the person to demonstrate their ability. But most of all, what we're concerned with is the novice, the public, not so the martial artist who has the experience, but those individuals who are interested in coming into the martial arts. And you covered many of the things why we should study martial arts, and I really want to thank you for that. But we're going to get ready to close here. Just want to ask you one last question: is where do you see martial arts, I would say 10 years from now? Keeping in mind what's going on now with crimes and as it relates to weapons today. A lot of times we learn how to punch and kick and things like that, but oftentimes people don't carry, they need to be worried about people carrying guns and weapons. With that being said, where do you see martial arts 10 years from now?
Well, I would like to say, man, that is make a total commitment in teaching the right way, not BSing, just make pay down. This is what I know. This is what I'm going to share. If I don't know, I'm gonna tell you I don't know. I'm not going to BS you, And I might have mentioned a little bit earlier, man, that a liar had to have a good memory, and we have a lot of liars in the arts. And I'm just saying, just what I've seen. I don't point the finger at nobody, but there's just too many people BSing in the arts. And if we think about the dough, then let's do the dough. Let's don't we got to stay down that path, And if a student asks you a question, if you have an answer, give it to them. Don't BS them. Research it. Like I tell students, hey, I don't know what it is, but man, let me get out there and research this here because I want to learn also, because that question may come up again and maybe I'll have an answer. But we're not going to be able to answer 100% of the questions, so which means that leads us to let's try to research this thing, and a lot of times you don't just take one person's opinion. And we talk about history, for an example. This one writer may say this history is da 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 da, and this one's saying this here is oh yo 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 yo, and this one's saying this here. and we're confused. So if we can research the correct answer, let's find it and pass it on to the students. And it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop, man. Just keep looking until you find the answer to give to that student. And in a lot of cases, the student already know the answer, so they must see where your head is, you know. But so students get up there and they're going to research it, and then but they say, well, what do you think, or what is your opinion? They have their opinion formulated already in their heads, the idea. So they can also say that, well, in their own mind, I think that person could be BSing, you know, or somebody's BSing there, you know. And so things we can do something about, do it. Things we can't, don't worry about it. If you have the answer, give it. If you don't have it, research it.
Right. Yeah, so in essence, martial art will stay intact provided that we, as the public, as the student, research who we're training with. We want to make sure that the person is authentic, is who he or she says that he or she is, which I agree with you totally, because otherwise we may go down the wrong path. So, sir, I really want to thank you here at martialartsnow.com. Shihan, Roseberry, I really appreciate you allowing me to come to interview you, and I really want to thank you for contributing to the martial arts for the decades. I mean, the decades that you have contributed. Any last words, sir?
Man, just be true to yourself.
Well,
That's it.
you heard it yourself. Just be true to yourself. And thank you for listening to martialartsnow.com.